Hey, this is Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com. I'm not even going to bother showing him my ugly mug today because we got a new Corvette. This is the new 2020 Corvette. This will be the C8, so the 8th generation of the car. And holy crap, look at what they did to it. The engine's in the middle now, so it's behind the front seats instead of up front. That changes a lot for this car. I'm not going to go into details. I'll show you the press release that has all the details later. I'll just highlight a few things because there's so much going on with this car. Mid-engine layout means that it's rear weight bias, so the weight of the car will be biased towards the rear of it, which changes handling completely. That's normally been the territory of supercars, but Chevy has said that the base model of the Corvette Stingray will start at under $60,000. That was one of their big announcements last night, other than, here's the car. So they're also sticking with the small block V8 that's been a mainstay in the Corvette from the beginning. It's a 6.2 liter. It's the second generation of the LT engine, so it's the LT2. This will put out 495 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, assuming you equip it with the performance exhaust. I would say if you buy this car and you don't get the performance exhaust, you're a moron. Also on this car is a brand new transmission. This will be a automatic only, but there are some caveats with that. So it's an automatic transmission. It's a new 8-speed, but it's a dual clutch, and it allows both really fast shifting when it's doing its own thing, as well as really fast shifting when you take manual control and use the paddle shifters. You can pull it completely out of gear by pulling both paddle shifters at the same time, which disengages the clutch. That's a pretty cool thing. The torque curve on the engine was made to optimize lower end, so it's putting out a lot of power fairly early. It has close ratio gears, the first 2 through 6, and then the top gears are obviously for high speed and mostly highway regular everyday driving. Couple new drive modes on this car. There's My Mode, which is configurable, and Z Mode, which is named after, of course, the Z cars, the Z06, ZR1, Z51, etc. There will be a Z51 performance package for this car, by the way. They haven't detailed everything that's going to be in it, but it will have things like an upgraded suspension added on, bigger suspension parts and more capability on the suspension. Speaking of the suspension, one of the cool things that Chevy did is standard on the Corvette is the ability to lift the front by roughly 2 inches, about 40 millimeters. That will happen with the press of a button by the driver. When the driver pushes that button, it only happens at under 24 miles an hour, so it only happens at city speeds. And it just lifts that front end so you can get over, up a steep driveway or over that large speed bump or something like that. When you do that, the car will prompt you if you want to remember that setting, and then it will mark the GPS coordinate. Every time you go there again, it will automatically do that. That's pretty cool. Something that a lot of, Tokyo Drift wannabes and supercar owners have probably wished that they could do. So that's what I've got. I'm going to just show you a bunch of footage here. There's some stuff from Chevrolet. There's some subject matter experts that will talk a little bit more. But before we get to that point, I'm going to quickly show you the kind of highlight reel of the unveil that happened last night. It was a long event. It took for friggin' ever. They had this long introduction by 2 astronauts, which was kind of cool. They were doing an Apollo tie-in. And the Corvette has always been fairly closely associated with both naval pilots and NASA. So there's that, and then after that, I'll just show some footage of interviews that Chevrolet did with various experts that worked on this car.
The Corvette has long been the crown jewel of Chevrolet.
At GM, every time we take on the task of designing a new Corvette, it must build on its storied history and push towards the future.
This car, the all-new 2020 Corvette, is one that changes everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, the all-new 2020 mid-engine Corvette.
The design challenges for this Corvette were unique. Everything had to be changed. Our mission was to make the finished product not just unmistakably Corvette, but an exotic supercar version of a Corvette.
The beating heart of the Corvette, the engine, at 495 horsepower and 470 foot-pounds of torque, making this the most powerful Corvette ever.
When the 2020 Corvette Stingray goes on sale in the U.S., it will start at less than $60,000.
No Corvette has ever felt so comfortable, nimble, and so completely stable.
The 2020 Chevrolet Corvette is going where no Corvette has gone before, and we're all thrilled to ride along.
From a design standpoint, the vehicle had to be incredibly beautiful, and at the end of the day, when you step back and look at it, it has to say Corvette.
It's part art, so hand sculpting clay, and part digital, math-based design. I think a lot of the leadership thought we want to go to mid-engine because it's cool, you know, because most exotic sports cars in the world were mid-engine, but actually we were doing it because we felt like we were reaching the limit of our performance capability and the architectures that we had, and so we had to do something to move that forward.
When I first heard that they were going to make the new Corvette mid-engine, really it was a game changer.
We're bordering on 70 years of this vehicle. So you have this lineage to it that you have to maintain, but you also have to be willing to grow and take it further.
With the mid-engine attributes, you'd have the rear weight bias from the engine for better acceleration, performance, and track times, as well as the low forward cowl for excellent visibility, and the lighter front, which really makes the car fun to drive.
Corvette is an emotional driving experience. No matter who you are in life, when you get into a Corvette, you're a superhero. We needed a bespoke transmission, custom designed for this car, because we have engines that produce massive amounts of torque, so the DCTs that are on the shelf wouldn't stand the Corvette duty cycle.
Is you've got a shaft that has your even forward gears, 2, 4, 6, 8, and your odd gears, 1, 3, 5, 7, and you can simultaneously be disengaging one shaft while you're engaging the other one. So it's quicker than a human being could shift a manual transmission. This way you get the lightning fast, less than 100 milliseconds shift when you need it.
What if we could do a new definition of a mid-engine sports car, not just for high-performance driving, but to go on trips, adventures, just make the driving to work an experience?
Utility of the car has been something we focused on too, ensuring that we've got a space for people to store luggage or groceries or what have you. So we have a front storage section that's very deep. We've got a trunk in the rear that not only accommodates 2 bags of golf clubs, but also stows the removable roof panel.
Driver mode, which is what most people are used to as tour, sport, track, and weather. My mode and Z mode are actually just 2 additional modes. Tour, we look at it as a balanced mode that's good at everything. Sport is a little bit more catered toward the spirited driving. Track is all about the response and how the vehicle handles around maximum cornering, maximum acceleration, and maximum driver feel of the road. What my mode and Z mode will allow you to do is for the driver to configure it themselves. The design intent of Z mode is for a single use case. You could set up Z mode for that curvy road that you go on every day on the way to work. Click on Z mode, do your curvy road, and then go back to my mode, and that's your day.
What we wanted to do was kind of go to a 3-seat strategy.
With the GT1 seat, that gives you your perfect everyday kind of driving seating position, comfortable bolsters. The new entry that we have for this one is the GT2.
The GT2 seat is really, really an exciting seat. It's a Napa leather. It has the most color blocking opportunities. It's a really beautiful formed seat.
The other side effect of that is it allowed us to really dial up the competition seat.
So we brought in a new material. It does a couple of things. One, it holds you in, and then the other side of it is it eliminates a little bit more leather because every ounce counts on this vehicle, especially when you're tracking it.
When we started designing the interior, we wanted to make sure that it felt uniquely Corvette, but it feels like no Corvette you've ever been in before.
We're going from 10 colors to 12 colors. This will be the most we've ever offered. What we're finding is that our consumers want to bring a little bit of their own identity in the car and really want to exemplify who they are and bring their own emotion out. And then the other main point that we did on the interior was the stitching and seatbelts. And this is really giving you a step above black when you go down that path.
Drivers can now raise the front of their Corvette almost 2 inches in less than 3 seconds with the available front lift. While it can be manually activated, it can also be programmed to remember the GPS locations of up to 1,000 obstacles throughout your commute, so that you don't, for example, have to remember to activate it every time you arrive home to a steep driveway.
So there you have it. This has been Aaron from AaronOnAutos.com. AaronOnAutos.com. Yeah, that. All right, talk to you again soon.